Hello everyone, this is Katie with TransByDef. This week's topic is depression and dysphoria. I have pretty much dealt with depression and gender dysphoria my entire life. I can remember, I thought it was when I was like 4, just like an age trying to figure out I'm noticing hey, something's not right here. Why am I not a girl like her? But evidently, after talking with my mom over the past few months recently, I found out and telling her when I realized it and the time and place and everything, evidently I was 3 years old, so I was pretty young, evidently. But I was never the true, typical young boy going out and doing things. I always used to play with other girls and play with their dolls and want to play house and all that fun stuff. I never really told my parents when I was younger that I'm not, I never came out and told them saying I'm not a boy, I'm a girl type thing. So I dealt with being depressed and just upset and all that to the point where when I was 8, my mom took me to a therapist. And I came out to the therapist because, well, everybody says that you're supposed to be able to open up to them. They're there to help you. And I did. I came out to the therapist and they didn't really respond to me. I remember coming out in this room and with my parents later on, and the doctor just basically told my parents that I'm depressed, and they put me on all these meds that I was on for quite a long time. And it got to a point where I went back when I was 11 to a therapist again, and hold on one sec. Okay, sorry, I'm getting over a bug that's going around. Evidently, a lot of people have had this to where I'm still I've lost my voice a few times, and it was ever since I finished my last video, coincidentally, last week. But anyways, yeah, when I was 11, went to a therapist again, same deal, came out to them, same result, more meds, just went deeper into a hole. And at that point, I stopped being kind of open about who I was. I didn't really force myself to try and fit into being a typical boy, or at that time, teenage boy / man, whatever. I just went into this funk and stayed there for a long, long time. And it hurt me dearly because it hurt my health to where when I was 13, I became very ill. And it was, by the time I was 14, they figured out I had what's called IBS, or irritable bowel syndrome, which is a stress-induced illness. So, and that was all because of depression due to gender dysphoria and everything, dealing with that, and me not wanting to deal with the issues. Because I went from living up north, at that time I was living in Connecticut, to my mom being transferred to Salisbury, North Carolina, a very small southern town. At the time it was small. So yeah, I was not really wanting to come out there. Sorry. But yeah, and I dealt with that for years. I missed my whole freshman year of high school because of being sick. due to that, and finally got well, and took summer classes and was able to graduate with my class and everything, but I suffered greatly education-wise because of that. But because mainly my GPA just went straight down the crapper. But after I graduated, I moved out, and I moved to the closest city, which was Charlotte. And I thought, well, I can kick all this. I tried really hard. I started coming out in different ways to deal with my depression and gender dysphoria. I was doing really good. I started going into remission with my stomach problems. And then I just went back into a serious depression when I had met somebody. I got engaged to her. She knew I was wanting to transition. She supported me, but evidently not as much as she thought. And she cheated on me with my roommate, and right around that same time, my dad fell pretty ill, so I helped take care of him quite a bit, to where I quit my job, moved closer to, and got a job closer to where he was, in a nursing home, to help him to be there. And I was just at a point of confusion with everything. And I kind of listened to my dad just because I was so depressed and not knowing what to do with everything, that my dad just sat there and told me, he's like, I want you to get married, I want you to have a family, and everything. And at that point I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. So I went out, I met my now ex-wife. We got married. We both just got out of both crappy relationships where our exes cheated on us. I had told her that I had attempted to transition, but I told her, I was like, well, I can deal with it just by cross-dressing and everything. But yeah, I pushed through a lot of years of being depressed, and depression turned into me being very angry and very nasty. And because of that, I tried to push to be the typical guy, and it caused my gender dysphoria to get worse. And I just became so confused and didn't know what to do at that point, when I used to know exactly what I wanted. I guess it just became to a point to where it just ate me up so much with the depression and everything, that I just really didn't know what to do. And it boiled over to a point where I started working so much just to not be around, because I was scared to be around my family, because I was so depressed and I was so miserable. And the only time I was happy was when I was either dealing with my issues by cross-dressing, or just working so much I couldn't think about it. And I traveled too. I traveled 6 days a week. So yeah. And then got laid off and stayed at home. Got really depressed. I didn't really leave the house. I mean, didn't hardly talk to my friends. I got into so much of a depression. I mean, things, I guess, just started eating me up over the years from not dealing with it. And it got to a point, September last year, I started blacking out. And it was due to high blood pressure. Because it was stress-induced high blood pressure. And it was causing me to, and I could tell my voice is fading, so I apologize. Yeah, I started blacking out due to it. They put me on beta blockers and all that stuff. I was doing okay. I was still getting close to blacking out. Um, January of, no, February of this year, I blacked out really hard. Woke up in the ER. And I remember the doctor coming in and telling me, you need to deal with whatever stress is and depression and whatever is eating you alive, or it's going to kill you. And I just blew him off. And the next day I get a phone call from my brother saying that my one brother had died from stress-induced illness. And that finally decided, in my mind, I guess it was the kick I needed to get over my depression, my gender dysphoria, and everything else, and say, screw it, I'm dealing with it. And I remember I looked at my now ex, and I told her, I was like, that's it, I'm done. I'm going to transition. And I literally, an hour later, after I pulled myself together after finding out my brother just died, I looked up a therapist, called her, made an appointment, and started my transition. So, and it's like, after 4 months of HRT, I went full-time, and so I've been full-time since July. So ever since then, I haven't really had any issues since, really, with gender dysphoria, other than just in a way of, wanting surgery and everything. That's about all that's left. But I still get depressed. I still deal with depression, mainly because right now I'm unemployed. I got laid off right before I went full-time. So I'm on unemployment, but it's like, even this week has been, or like, actually it started last week, because my unemployment, they pulled my unemployment because I had a meeting scheduled. I had to cancel it and reschedule it. Well, they didn't tell me they were going to take my unemployment away until I went to the new scheduled day, which is tomorrow. So I've been kind of freaking out because I have no money right now, so I'm flat broke. But it's been putting me in these depressions and everything quite a bit lately. So, kind of sucks, but it's a different type of depression than what I used to. It used to be this depression that would sink me so low that I wouldn't see an end to it, in a way, is the best way to put it. And you put stresses on top of that, and you just get super depressed. And it reflects on everyone. It really does. And it didn't really hit me till after I started transitioning, of how my depression and everything affected everyone. Because when I started transitioning, all that went away for the most part, and everybody said I'm such a nicer person and happier to be around. So, and especially when my 5-year-old sons come to me and they tell me they're happier to be around me and they like me better as who I am now than who I was, that's when it really hit me. So, yeah, I do tell everyone, if you're dealing with this in any way, a lot of people say, well, I can wait, I can transition later, or deal with it maybe in a few years, I have other things I'm going to do. Personally, I tell people, don't wait, because sorry, don't wait, because it eats you up. in more ways than you can imagine, and it affects other people. Your depression and your issues affect people in so many ways that you just don't realize. And I just highly recommend people to go to a support group or talk to others and get the help that's out there. I mean, I'm now a huge advocate for helping others. I thought when I started transition, I was gonna push through and kind of hide and not be active in the transgender community and whatnot. But after a lot of thinking about what I went through, I don't want others to go through the same pain that I went through. So I want to help others as much as I can to not have to go into these depressive states and deal with their dysphoria issues for as long as they have to. You shouldn't have to deal with it. You should be able to express yourself and be happy. I mean, because just being in that funk sucks. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's every type of depression. I mean, everybody, I don't care how happy of a person you are, there's going to be a moment sorry, to where you're going to get depressed. But it shouldn't get to a point to where it rules your life. That's the main thing of it, is you shouldn't let any type of depression at all, or gender dysphoria, or whatever, rule you. So, yeah. But, sorry, I'm trying not to cough and I'm trying not to cry at the same time. So, it's interesting trying to hold in two different things at the same time. And of course, somebody decides to blow their horn right outside my window. Awesome. But, yeah. Just, I just really can't say much more other than the biggest thing with me is, that's helped me with my depression, is even with the small things that I deal with, even though they're large in some ways, to me they're small compared to what I used to deal with, is to just talk to others and vent. Don't sit there and hold it in. I used to bottle up so much, and you don't realize how much in ways that bottling things up with being depressed and what causes you to be depressed can eat you alive and cause health issues like crazy. Trust me, I have been there. I have had all kinds of spectrums of health issues due to stress, because of depression. And just don't do it. Talk to others, get help. I really can't stress it enough. So, but that's pretty much all I gotta say about that subject. So, till next week, bye.